I'm Dr. Ann, and if you found this class, then you must have read some about me. I've been a counselor for about 30 years, and I have found that this tapping method, which is based on thought field therapy by Roger Callahan, is an extraordinarily useful and very easy tool to use. The difficulty that most people have is remembering to use it because they don't use it every day. So it doesn't occur to them to use it when they have a traumatic event. It feels as if it's not possible. It's too good to be true. And you won't even believe what's happening as you experience it yourself. I'll point out where people go wrong, or don't actually go wrong. They just decide that they must be distracted, when in fact, the traumatic emotions have been released. They're gone. That's why I call it emotional release tapping, because the point is that we have distressing and disturbing emotions, and we store them if we haven't processed them and let them go. And eventually they get to be too much. So it's a good idea to have a technique where you can release those and they're actually gone. The energy of that emotion is gone. So what we'll do is, first of all, I'll talk about what it is. And then the second part will be how to do it. So what is it? It's a rapid trauma relief protocol where we tap subtle energy points in a specific sequence while holding a traumatic memory in mind. By doing that, we're able to release the energy of the emotion that's been stuck with that particular memory. So let's talk a little about subtle energy points. Many people don't know what those are. Eastern medicine in China, India, I'm not sure what others, but those for sure that are close to 5,000 years old each, believe that the basis of health is these subtle energies. In China, the energy is called qi, spelled Qi, and qi goes along pathways in the body called meridians. And if qi is flowing properly through the meridians, then you have good health. When they become perturbed, that is, there's something wrong, it's not flowing properly, it's backed up, whatever it's doing, it's called a perturbation. When the meridians and the energy flow are perturbed, then you will get illness. And for our purposes, the perturbations that we're going to be looking at are the ones that are associated with specific emotions. And so certain points on the body along these meridians are associated with certain emotions. So as we see these perturbations, we tap on the body to relieve them and the emotions go away. The theory is that a thought field, a memory is a thought field, and that thought field is an energy field. And that energy field has meridians, and the meridians may contain perturbations. The perturbations are experienced as distressing emotions. So what we want is to get the perturbations out of the thought field. And when we do that, the thought is still there, the memory is still there, opinions about it are still there, but the emotions have gone. In order to do this, we tap points on those disturbed channels in a specific sequence, and it corrects the disruption, and the emotions are gone, and they don't come back. People find this very difficult to believe because it works so quickly and so completely. For a few people, actually it's very few people I've come across that it doesn't work for, but there are some. And if it doesn't work, I'm really sorry, because it's a total miracle for those for whom it does work. In order how to do it. An algorithm is simply a list of procedures. And we'll talk about the basic algorithm. We'll talk about locating the points. We'll talk about something called SUD, which is subjective units of distress. We'll talk about 9G, which is a subroutine in the algorithm. And then we'll talk about some specific algorithms and do an example. So the basic algorithm elements are, you rate the distress from 1 to 10. This is really important. It doesn't matter particularly. Don't spend a lot of time worrying about what number it is. 1 is not disturbed at all. 10 is the most disturbed you've ever been. And so whatever you're feeling in the moment that you want to do the tapping, just write down that number. And then you tap the sequence. I'm going to give you a list so that you know that you can choose the sequence from the list. And after you've tapped the sequence, re-rate the distress. Now, whatever number you got when you did it the first time, you do it the second time. And if it's gone down 2 or more, that means the sequence you used is working. So continue. The next thing you do is the 9G procedure, which I will explain later. And then you re-tap the sequence that worked from before. And then you re-rate the distress. At this point, your SUD, your rating, should be 2 or less. And then we do something called an eye roll, which is super easy but very relaxing. You tap on the back of your hand between the little finger knuckle and the ring finger knuckle, slide down that bone just below, right there. And you just start tapping right there. Put your hand in your lap so it's comfortable. But as you're tapping, you hold your head steady and look down as low as you can look, and gradually lift your eyes to the ceiling. That eye roll is a way to relax yourself considerably anytime. You can do that anytime. And if you want to do an experiment, stand up, bend over and touch your toes and mark how far you can go. Then do the eye roll and bend over and touch your toes again. Normally, you'll be able to, your muscles will have loosened enough so that you'll be able to bend over much further. Once you do the eye roll, you should be pretty much completely clear of whatever your trauma was. All right, so now we're going to look at the locations. Eyebrow. I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but I have in parentheses what emotion this is. This is grief. And eyebrow. Notice this is at the corner near your nose. So where this is a tapping point. You'll tap right here on your eyebrow near your nose. A lot of people will tap up here or they'll tap over here, but no, you're supposed to tap on the corner of your eyebrow near your nose. Okay. The next one is under eye, right on the orbital bone below your eye. Gently. This is an energy treatment. It does not require hurting yourself. And then the next we're going to do is chin. And then we're going to do under nose. Just tap gently. And then outer eye. This is actually on the outer corner of your eye, right there. The orbital bone goes along here. Just tap right there on that orbital bone. You'll see that these emotions that are associated with these, eyebrow is grief, under eye is anxiety. This particular anxiety normally has to do with the digestive system, particularly the stomach. The chin is shame. Under the nose is embarrassment. The outer eye is rage. So hopefully you're not going to have to do that one too much. But if you do, it's a miracle worker. It can calm you down very quickly. Now on the torso, this is hard to see. So look at this one. It's under your right arm. If you're a woman, or most men probably know, it is under your arm, right where the bra strap goes around underneath your arm. And you tap there. This one is also anxiety, but this is more of a blood sugar type of anxiety. where you're shaky or you're breathless or your heart's pounding or you're cold, the kinds of things that would happen if you had low blood sugar. And then under the collarbone is also for anxiety, but it's actually straight up fear. And under the collarbone, I do both sides on this one. And it's normally very, very relaxing. All of these are super easy and relaxing to do. Now, on the hand, we have the tiny finger next to the nail on the inside, next to the ring finger. Right there, you just tap. You can use 2 fingers, 1 finger, whatever. And then the index finger on the side of the nail, on the side of the finger by the thumb. And then I showed you the gamut spot. This is the gamut spot. This one is used for pain. It's also used in the 9G procedure. And then the side of the palm, it's like where you would give a karate chop. Right there, side of the palm. All right, tiny finger is anger. Remember we said this one is rage? Well, rage is huge. Anger is little finger, tiny finger. Index finger is guilt. We all have plenty of that. In fact, the American way is anger, guilt, and shame. Anger, guilt, and shame. That happens a lot, unfortunately. But we can get rid of it now once you know how to do this. Now, to do the subjective units of distress, you rate your emotional distress. What we want to know is from 1 to 10, how distressed you are in the moment. So if you're trying to tap a memory, something that's happened in the past, you have to focus on that until you can bring the feelings into the present. You focus on it as closely as you can, and you allow the emotion to come up as much as you can. Just focus on it, let it rise, let it rise. And when it's as high as you think it'll be, then you rate it from 1 to 10. Write that down. That'll be your SUD1, the first subjective unit of distress. You don't have to call it that. You can just say rating. But anyway, this is the first one. It's crucial that you bring the emotion of the memory into the present so that you're feeling it now. We can't work on something you aren't actually experiencing now because the field isn't open, isn't present. So it won't work. But if we can do it, if you can bring the memory into the present and then you can begin to feel the feelings, you'll be able to clear them. The protocol and the algorithm includes this procedure. This is a subroutine, if you will, in the algorithm. So what you do for the 9G is you tap on the back of your hand, this gamut spot, and while you're tapping on the back of your hand, you just keep the tapping going the whole time. You hold your head steady. You look straight ahead, close your eyes, open your eyes and look down to one side. Look down to the other side. Make a huge circle with your eyes so that you see the floor, the wall, the ceiling, the other wall, the floor again, while you continue to tap. And then the fun part is that you hum. I choose Happy Birthday because everybody knows it. Just a few notes is all you need. And then you count to 5 out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you hum again. And then you repeat whatever sequence that you were working on. But that is the gamut procedure. This is one that if you're going to use this very often, you need to just memorize it so that you can go through it without having to look at it and read it and start over and do, oh, okay, now what do I do? Now what do I do? It's super easy. It's just open eyes, close eyes, down, down, circle, circle, hum, count, hum. That's it. So here we go. This is the basic algorithm. You rate the intensity, that's your SUD1, and then you tap a sequence of points. Some of the points, like let's say we're angry, we tap angry, the little finger, and then we tap under the collarbone. You always tap under the collarbone in every sequence. You end with the collarbone. Okay, so let's say I was angry. My SUD was an 8. So I tap on my little finger, and then I tap on we tap 10 times, by the way. Tap on my collarbone, and then I breathe, and I re-rate it. Oh, goodness, it dropped to a 5. Okay, so that's more than 2. Since it's gone down more than 2, I can do the 9G. So that'll be the next thing I do. I do the brain update procedures is another name for the 9G. So then I proceed to do my 9G, and I re-tap anger, breathe, and then I do another SUD just to find out, oh gosh, I'm at 1 or 2. And then to completely eliminate it, I can do an eye roll, tap on the back of my hand, look at the floor, and gradually raise my eyes to the ceiling. And the whole thing's gone. I'm not angry anymore, not upset anymore. Here's another, this particular slide has the code, the abbreviation, the location, and the emotion all right here so that you can see what they all do. That might be easier to use than the other one. I have these on business cards, on the front and back of business cards, so that you can use those and keep them with you. I give those to all my clients. Okay, so here's an example. Here's the complex trauma algorithm. Any trauma, anything that happened in the past that you're still upset about, or happened, well, everything's in the past because you can't do it before it happens. So anything that you are upset about, you can use this particular sequence and clear it. Okay, so it's eyebrow, under eye, under your right arm, and under your collarbone. That's the sequence. Okay. And what I do, I just didn't rate I didn't do my distress. Let's say that my intensity is 9. All right, so then I'm going to tap. Didn't matter which side. So this time I'm going to do eyebrow, under eye. Now underarm is better if you do the right arm. It'll work if you do the left, but it's better under the right arm. And then collarbone, and I've done my sequence. Oh, so goodness, I went down to 6. So that's more than 2 points. So I can go on. Now I'm going to do the 9G, and that's right here. So I'm going to tap on the back of my hand. I'm going to hold my head steady, open my eyes, close my eyes, open down one side, other side, circle, circle, hum, count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to repeat the sequence, which was eyebrow, under eye, underarm, under collarbone. Take a breath, release it, re-rate. Oh, my SUD is 2. Oh, pretty clear. That's pretty much gone. Whatever my trauma was is pretty much clear now. So if I'm still at a 2, I can go ahead and do the eye roll where I tap on the back of my hand, start with my eyes as low as I can get them, and gradually go to the ceiling. Oh, now I can't even find it anymore. It's missing. And this is where people really tend to get confused. They'll be looking around because you've had this thing there. You were upset. You were feeling this, and this is where the field comes in. You're looking around. It's gone. What happened? It's weird. Well, you distracted me. I'm not thinking about it. But the truth is, try to think about it. Bring it back. You just brought it into mind. Do it again. And you can't. The reason that you can't is because it's gone. That's the good news. But it's really hard to believe because we're not used to thinking in terms of subtle energies. That is not how we understand health working in the West. It is entirely what Chinese medicine and Ayurveda are based on. In Chinese medicine, it's Qi, and this Roger has studied and took this from basically from acupuncture, which is Chinese medicine, as opposed to Ayurveda, which would be about chakras and marma points. But it is all subtle energy, and the balance of your subtle energy, to all those people who didn't start with technology, but started more with nature and herbs and energies, those societies have focused on subtle energies forever. And I imagine if they've been around for 5,000 years, they've got a lot of validity to them. All right. So here you go. Here are some algorithms. Anger, tiny finger, anger, collarbone. Then we do the 9G. Then we do the repeat. Tiny finger, collarbone, and then we do the eye roll. Now, what I didn't do as I walked through that is I didn't do the SUD. So first you rate, then you do the sequence, then you rate again. Because if the first rating and the second rating, if you haven't gone down if you haven't gone down 2 points, your sequence isn't working. So you need a different sequence. That's the reason for that. That's the only reason for it, and to demonstrate to yourself that it's worked. But the first one and the second one are important because the second one has to be 2 points or more lower than the first one, or your sequence isn't working. And sometimes you'll find that you do your sequence and it just goes to 0. It's done. You don't have to do the rest of it. But these are all for each of these emotions. And I decided I would go ahead and put in these. These aren't things that I hand out usually to all my clients because they didn't fit on the business card. So depression or pain, you can tap 30 to 50 times on the gamut spot and then do the collarbone and then do the 9G. I don't know why I wrote gamut in there. 9G. Oh, because it's the gamut spot that you do 30 to 50 times, repeat it under collarbone and then the eye roll. And this can be pretty powerful. It helps a lot if you can focus your consciousness, your awareness in where the pain is. It's harder to do with depression, but it can help. So you might try it. This one's really interesting, jet lag. If you're going east to west, you do eyebrow and then collarbone. If you're doing west to east, you do under eye and collarbone. These are pretty easy. It's just a matter of having them available and knowing what they are, but it's super simple. It's the same algorithm every time. You only change the emotion. The one that's most powerful is this one, complex trauma, panic and anxiety. Complex trauma one is probably all you need, but I generally add on guilt, anger, and shame because those are just the American way. We all are overloaded with guilt, anger, and shame. So this is the algorithm that I use most often in the office. Eyebrow, under eye, underarm, collarbone, index finger, tiny finger, chin, and then collarbone. And This will take care of any trauma and then any attendant guilt, anger, and shame that you might have. And of course, you can just do the complex trauma. And if you're going to memorize it, that might be the easiest. The other thing that I've discovered is that you can even use these to figure out what you're feeling sometimes. I remember thinking that I was feeling anxious and I didn't know why. Anxiety's like that. Sometimes you just feel it and you don't even know why. But then as I tapped anxiety points, I tapped here, I tapped under my arm, and it didn't do any good. So I tapped on my chin, cleared it. Turned out that I mistook this shame feeling for anxiety. So sometimes you can diagnose yourself. What am I feeling? Sometimes it's hard to tell. Some people are extraordinarily good at telling that. Some of us are not as good at telling that. Again, this is the one you'll most often use. Eyebrow, under eye, underarm, collarbone. And the first rating and the second rating are the most important because you have to go down to prove that your sequence is valid. If it doesn't go down, then you don't have a good sequence. And you'll have to go back to the drawing board and try a different sequence or add on some things to your sequence. Do it again, and then see if it goes down 2 or more. And if it still doesn't go down 2 or more, you can call me and I'll see if I can help you with it. Next, we have fear and simple phobias. Simple phobias are simple phobias like spiders or snakes, heights. What else? They're claustrophobia. E, under eye, underarm, collarbone. This will handle most all of the simple phobias. If it doesn't handle it, you can do these things. You can rearrange the order and see what happens. For obsession or OCD, you do collarbone, under eye, collarbone again. And again, you always have to rate collarbone, under eye, collarbone, rate again. Did it go down 2? It didn't go down 2. This is not a sequence that's going to work. So try the next one. Rate, try it, rate. Did it go down 2? If it did, great, keep going. If it didn't, then try the next one. Now, addictive urges is really interesting. These can help relax people. If people are trying to get over an addiction, they have terrible cravings and urges for a long time. And these are all effective options to use. And of course, it isn't going to hurt you to try these for sure. It's a lot better than trying to add other drugs or whatever to try to get off of one drug by using another drug or whatever. But addictions are the devil of a lot of people. So the first one we try, this is always the first one. I find that really interesting. Addictive urges must be really tied in with anxiety and fear. I think that underneath most addictions, they start to manage anxiety. They start to manage anxiety, fear, depression, those kinds of things. So it's not surprising. So we try under eye, underarm, collarbone. Did it go down 2? If it didn't go down 2, let's try under eye, or collarbone, underarm, then collarbone. Did it go down 2? If it didn't, we try eyebrow, under eye, collarbone. Did it go down 2? Then we try underarm, under eye, collarbone. Did it go down 2? If it did, then we proceed and we do the rest of it. I left the R off here. This wasn't under I. This should be an ER. After collarbone, that should be an ER. Anyway, typos. Surprised there aren't more. So it's the end of the class. It's super, super simple. And what you can do is use this form if you want to, or make your own. Basically, what you want to do is just make sure that you write down rating 1 and write down the sequence you use, because you might not remember when you're starting out, and then what the second rating was so that you can make sure that it was 2, and then that it went down 2 or more. And if it's still above 2, then you keep going. If it's below 2, you can just go straight to the eye roll and see if that'll clear it. It's surprising how often the first sequence will clear it, and you don't have to go through the rest of it. If you have questions, or if you would like more information, then by all means contact me. My contact information is all over the website. Our phone number is 972-774-0221. My email is my name, Ann with an E, at AnnShanz, SCHANZ, PhD.com. And I'll be happy to talk to you if you have questions about this, or if you're interested in some of the other programs that we have. I would look forward to seeing you and talking to you. And if you have suggestions for the class, that you liked it, that you didn't like it, that you'd like to see something else, that you were confused by something, please just send me an email and let me know, because I really do appreciate the feedback. And I hope it helps you. And I hope one day to meet you. Thank you so much.